Hey, what's up? This is A-Trak. We're here at Amoeba Records in Hollywood. It's pretty cool to actually be asked to dig for vinyl because this is stuff like I do for fun anyways. This isn't even work. I found some pretty cool stuff, especially some random things that I don't even know. This has Spike Lee on the cover and it says The Butt. I believe this is from the soundtrack of one of his movies, School Days. I love picture discs and I love Quasimodo and Stone's Throw Records. I'm lucky to call Madlib a friend. I've known him for a good while. Some of my early trips to LA, I used to stay with Peanut Butter Wolf and the Stone's Throw guys, and they all lived in a house together in Mount Washington, and Madlib had this room called the Bomb Shelter, and I was able to be a fly on the wall. So Quasimodo, I was always really into this whole project. So the front is the Quasimodo character, and then behind is the inside of his guts and what's in his body. There's a banana peel and a jackknife. Zapp, so good. An essential record to the Maklovich family. My brother Dave is in the group Chromeo, whose album is also available now. And the talk box is an essential instrument to Chromeo's sound. And Roger Troutman from Zapp is one of the great pioneers of the talk box, especially as used in funk music. Sampled by a lot of rappers. You'll recognize it instantly, that big hand clap. I'm a child of the Simpsons, so Cletus the slack-jawed yokel will find a home on a shelf of mine somewhere. It's nice that he comes with a dead rat with a tire mark on it.
I could call my ma while I'm up here. Hey Ma! Get off the dang roof!
Rare Earth is like a kind of a rock fusion group from the 70s, late 70s. Can you zoom in on these slacks? So I wanted to make sure I picked up some samples, some what I call dusties. You know, the old records in the bins that have dust in them, but also great samples.
Should the day bring clouds of gray, babe?
I feel like when people first learn about sampling, the first style of old records that you might go to would be, soul and funk, James Brown kind of breakbeats. And that's the early stuff that was sampled in hip hop in the 80s. And then, in the early 90s, you had, Gangstar and Tribe Called Quest that started sampling jazz. As the genre progressed into the mid to late 90s, there's a lot of guys that started sampling more rock stuff. The thing that's cool about the 70s is there's all these cross-pollinations between some of the genres. So there's rock groups that have really good jazz keyboard players that would do some odd chord progressions or jazz fusion, but it's kind of poppy but rock at the same time. So Rare Earth has some really groovy samples. My brother used to dig for their records when he was making rap beats before he became a funkster. Noize is a good friend of mine. Excellent German techno producer, but don't be afraid by German and techno. This is not music for bald people in turtlenecks. This is exciting stuff. Noize is one of the guys that rejuvenated techno and helped make it popular to the American youth in a sense, because it's one of the genres that I think American kids were sort of scared of. But his music is very in your face. This is so cool. Funkmaster Flex, the mixtape volume 1. In the 90s, DJs were more in the background, either making mixtapes or on the radio or backing up rappers. And it was really innovative for Loud Records to give Funkmaster Flex a major label deal to make a mixtape with original songs as well. And Flex did a really good job with this because there was kind of an educational process. He mixed in a lot of classics. Yeah, there's Biz Markie, Nobody Beats the Biz. Oh, by the way, I found a Biz Markie picture disc. Boom, I love Biz Markie. Some of the first records I ever scratched when I was a teen were Biz Markie records because I used to emulate Pete Rock, and Pete Rock was scratching a lot of Biz Markie.
Nobody beats the biz. Nobody beats the biz.
Flex, I think, approached this mixtape kind of like rocking a party. There's a part of the night where you're gonna play the old classics, and then he was playing some of the newer stuff. You know, Big Pun was on here when he was really first coming up, and he got all these freestyles. Q-Tip freestyle, KRS-One freestyle. Actually, it's called KRS-One Speech. It was kind of more of a spoken word thing without a beat, and there was a little phrase that he used to scratch on there. But yeah, this is really cool. And speaking of learning how to scratch, there's a whole tradition of what's called Breakbeat Records that are made to be sampled or scratched. I mean, this says it right here. You know, there's kind of a canon of classic samples that, you know, DJs have favored to scratch on over the years. You know, so some of them are from rare records, but a lot of them are compiled on these Breakbeat records. The tracks don't even have track names. It's like song 1, 113 BPM, song 2, 105 BPM. This record is by this guy Simon Harris, who is a British guy. A lot of time it's sort of clandestine because no one was clearing samples, so it's like guys that would dig up the best samples and make him sound just right and press him up in the shadows, avoiding lawsuits. But at the same time, these guys facilitated the genesis of some of the most classic records that we all know. You know, like there's a classic series called Ultimate Breaks and Beats with like 25 volumes. A lot of the guys were just buying these compilations and just sampling. Like, it's kind of flagrant. There's this one, I think it's a Kid and Play record. In the same song, it samples 2 or 3 tracks that are on the same side of this Ultimate Breaks and Beats compilation. And to finish, this is an incredibly packaged J Dilla compilation that recently came out. His mom, Ma Dukes, put this together, and it's really cool the way it's packaged with a floppy disk, which obviously would work with a sampler, and a cassette and a bunch of vinyls. These are beat tapes. I had some J Dilla beat tapes. I never actually met the guy, even though he's, after all these years, still my favorite producer. So now they're releasing some of the stuff from the vaults. And this sampler just encapsulates classic hip-hop. The SP is the sampler that Large Professor used, and Marley Marl, and actually even Madlib used to use it, Pete Rock, a lot of people. So this is what I found today at Amoeba.